Yeah, I can hear better now.
Okay.
So
Great.
do we have Jenny, do we have a way to confirm that, are there also members of the public that have signed in without any problem?
Lynn, do you see anybody?
There's a lot of people signed on, so.
Okay.
I haven't gotten,
All right.
I haven't gotten any calls from the public saying they can't get in.
And there's 27.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, there's 27.
Thank you.
All right, and we do have a long agenda. So can you make sure everybody's muted, Lynn, because it sounds like there's some feedback. Or Cecil, whoever's controlling. All right, good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. I'm Jenny McCullum, the Chief Procurement Officer for JEA and the Chair of the Awards Committee meeting. I'd like to call the November 19th, 2020 awards meeting to order. We have a quorum. We have Stephen Datz, Alan McElroy, Steve Tooten, Wayne Young, and Joe Arfano on the phone. The first four are in person and present. OGC is represented by Julie Davis.
The bedroom went on mute.
Something that just makes you go, what the? And that, a little later on today, 855-765. 765-1045. States, even though these certifications are pretty getting be certified, even though every week that goes by, everyone thinks, where are these court battles? When is it going to be in front of the Supreme Court? When will the election be reversed? We've been promised now by people that there's evidence, that there's a Cindy, a slew of it, like a fire hose, you know, and we have all these affidavits, information. We hear about all these instances where people were the opinion software or whatever was changing votes, and we're gonna hope for a very long time. Also, we've heard about all of these other instances of voter intimidation. In fact, intimidation continues. And voted to certify for finalizing President-elect Joe Biden's victory in the state. Now, their vote. This is one of the most telling about what's going on with this election in these states like Michigan and Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and probably more.
It's on the line. No, they can't hear the bid room. I can mute everyone. When I unmute everyone, it's still muting the bid room. Even when I unmute everyone else, the bid room.
We're still not getting any volume.
I'm not hearing anything either.
It appears the CC1 bid room is on mute.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
We can hear you now.
Okay. So when that turns right, I got it, Lynn, on the handheld over here. Okay, so Joe and Julie and Lori, we just had a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes from November 5th. Everyone in the room approved, and Joe, it is your turn to vote.
Approved.
Great, thank you. We have deferred item number 2, so let's move on to item number 3. This is a contract amendment, and this is for our joint agency fuel supply, fuel cards, and related services. We did a joint procurement with the City of Jacksonville and Duval County Public Schools. And the awardee is Gate Fleet Services. The award amount for the amendment is $2,246,568.11. And this is to get us through the current term, which expires in July 30th of 2022. The primary need for this contract increase is driven by our recent market changes related to COVID. So once COVID started to impact us, JEA's field employees began dispatching from other locations other than their service centers. And what that did was created where every night our overnight fueling supplier, Jacobus, used to go and fuel their vehicles when they parked them at the service centers at night. They aren't able to safely fit into our substations where the crews are being dispatched from. And so they are using the Gate fuel cards and those locations to fuel themselves instead of our overnight fuelers. So we've seen an uptick in the monthly spend with Gate, almost 60%, and Jacobus's spend is down about 62%. So that's what is causing this increase, and we have estimated what our annual spend is per day based off of these circumstances to get us through the end of this term. So I'll ask if there's any questions or comments.
You're just missing an and on page 19 between COVID and the effect.
Okay.
It has.
Yeah, it has on JEA's operation.
Okay, great. We'll make those
Yep.
edits. All right. Do I have a motion to approve award number 3?
Stephen Datz, motion to approve.
Wayne Young, second.
Thank you. I'll roll call through the committee, starting with Stephen Datz,
Approved.
Wayne Young,
Approved.
Alan McElroy,
Approved.
Steve Tootin,
Approved.
and Joe Arpana.
Approved.
Thank you. All right, award number 4 is a renewal. And this is for our solar battery customer rebates. And Clear Results Consulting LLC is our awardee. And the amount for the renewal is $330,192. $101.40. This is a partial renewal. We're not going to do the full 1-year renewal. This will get us through 3.5 months. And the award amount reflects the shorter renewal term. What we're doing at this point is working with Clear Results to finish out 3.5 months while we look at some more strategic options and have agreed to co-terminate just this portion of the contract for separate energy efficient. So we'll go through May of 2021, and then we'll explore options for the future programming, including but not limited to combining the scope with other JEA energy and efficiency products. So we'll do a new competitive bid on this program. May also be combined with JEA's off-road electrification program for the purpose of a new competitive bid. So this will just get us through the next 3 months while we figure out how we want to do that and move forward. My team has assured me this is enough time to do all of that, so they feel comfortable with only the 3.5 months. And if you can, just as some history, the program's been growing over the years. You can look at the tables. We've had about 134 customers participate in the incentive program, and we think about 115 additional between the next 3.5 months will join in.
So it's not a dramatic increase, but it is going up a little bit every year.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Do you guys have any questions for the business or for my group? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 4.
Steve Tootin, motion to approve.
Alan McElroy, second.
Thank you. We'll roll call through the committee, starting with Steve Tootin,
Approve.
Alan McElroy,
Approved.
Stephen Datt,
Approved.
Wayne Young,
Approved.
Joe Artano.
Approved.
Jenny, can we get the
Thank you.
awards on the screen?
Yeah, Lynn, can you put the awards on the screen for us?
It's not showing, sorry.
It's not, but that's okay. Thank you. Thank you, Alan. While she's pulling it up, I'll do just a summary. So award number 5 is a sole source. This is for our owner's representative services on JEA's Hardin facility, and what we refer to as HQ2. CBRE Inc. is our awardee in the amount of $303,978. And this is to employ them for their services through the end of the project. So I'll give you guys some history on the sole source. So you've seen a lot of this come to the committee from the new facility. CBRE has been our owner's rep since the very beginning through a competitive bid. Services and scope has changed quite a bit, and they're going to continue to represent us with the main headquarters, but we need also somebody that can do the Hardin facility, which is the new scope and separate of what we originally had bid out. So we feel like they are the right person to continue the work with the history that they have, to continue to be the owner's rep for this new facility. And I'll just note on the main facility, when we bid this out, they've held their pricing, their rate since we did this in 2017, and continue to hold that pricing through the end of the project for that owner's rep services. We renegotiated rates with them for this contract to allow to have a slight increase in rates to support the continued effort. This was not supposed to last this long, so we do find that reasonable through this process. So I'll pause and see if you guys have any questions, or if Nancy, you want to have any other dialogue before we move to a motion.
The original.
Just happy to talk about it. They have, they know the whole program between both buildings so well. Portions of what we're putting in HQ2 were pulled out of the main headquarters when we reduced the size of that main building. So they know all the parts and pieces and our systems, and we just think it provides good continuity to keep them. They were competitively procured back in 2017 and have been working on us with every iteration of the changes on the project and then the split into 2 projects going forward.
So Nancy, the original rate, I think this is what Stephen's about to ask about. The
162
original
was the
rate has
original
been held
rate.
at 162
Yeah.
per hour since
has.
we started this 3 years ago. The hourly rate for this work is slightly more. It's 174. It's about a 2.5 increase. So
I think it's 7.4%.
7.4% increase now, but then additionally each year will allow for a 2.5% increase. Are we reading that correctly?
No, we would, they held the same rate on the main headquarters, and it would end up being about a 5-year period when they're finished with that. This is 174, contemplated not to increase over the life of the HQ2. So the rates they've quoted us are a consistent 174 for the HQ2 work.
So it's the estimate of what we have left is about a 2.5 increase per year, but we're just wrapping it into one increase that they'll hold constant through the rest of the term, correct?
Yes, that's correct, but it reads that the hourly rate increased from 162 to 174.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 7.4% increase, not a 2.5%.
So if we
It
add
was
up
supposed
the
to be
2.5%
2.5 per year.
It is a cumulative.
per year, so we've got about, what, 3 more years?
It's cumulative.
The 2.5% is the cumulative
That's
increase.
all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
We're
saying if
giving
you're
you,
referring to the hourly rate, that's different, and it specifically states the hourly rate increase.
so maybe we can work on wording that a little bit differently, but do you want to explain that, Nancy, just the rate? So are we locking
The
in?
rate,
Are we locking in 174? And is that going
for
to stay
this
consistent?
contract,
Mm-hmm. So will that be the rate for the rest of the term of this project?
for this piece of work, yes. And what the difference is, it just represents the 2.5% a year over the rate they're charging on the other project, which they agreed to hold at 162. Now we're 3 years down the road, so they've asked for the new rate of 174, but that would be held on this work throughout the life of this project.
And
So Nancy, to Stephen's point, that should probably be reworded
Right.
to say that it's an approximate 2.5% per year from the original $162 on HQ that was negotiated 3 years ago.
Right.
Yes, that's good.
So, and we'll make it clear that 174 rate will be held consistent. I think that's what's
That's
missing.
for the duration
Yeah.
of it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a great change as well, to indicate that 174 will be fixed for the HQ2 over the term of this agreement.
And it is on their schedule of fees and their scope. They've got it throughout. That rate is the consistent throughout, again, this new piece of work.
Okay. I'm sure my team is on listening to this, but I've made some notes as well.
174.46 to be exact. So yes, they rounded down to 174. So just checking Nancy's math. She knows me too well with my trusty HP.
We're on, and we'll get with Nancy afterwards to reword it, Jenny.
Thank you.
Here's mine too.
All right, so any other questions? All right, so I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 5 with the
Joe Orfano.
slight
so
edit
moved.
and wording. Okay,
Joe Orfano, so moved as amended.
thank you. All right, we've got a move in a second. I'll roll call through the committee. Joe Orfano,
Approved.
Stephen Datz,
Approved.
Alan McElroy,
Approved.
Steve Tootin,
Approved.
and Wayne Young.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 6, this was an invitation to bid. This is for our Southside Service Center asphalt paving improvements. The awardee is, I'm gonna butcher this, Kadoozy 3 Trucking Inc. in the amount of $447,583.62. We have the expected project to be completed in May of 2021. We had good competition here. We had 4 bids that we received. And the base bid amount of the 337, about 337.5, is lower than our budget estimate. And so we had, during the bid process, also had asked for alternative bid pricing if we had enough budget to do additional work that we wanted to do. We wanted to see what the pricing came in at. So the decision was made to include the alternate phase 1 bid amount, which is about $70,000, which brings our total to about $407,000. We also had 10% SWA, which is for any kind of discoverable work that comes up, which is included in the award amount. And what we're asking you guys to approve does not mean we will use that. It will only be there if we need it. And the business unit knows they have to show us justification to be able to use that amount. But we're asking the committee to approve the base bid, the phase 1 alternative bid pricing, and the 10% SWA for this work. I'll just make a note, we've split this project into 5 phases, so upon award, we would complete phase 1, 2, and 3 under this contract, and then additional phases 4 and 5 will be completed after building renovations are completed to the Southside Service Center, and we'll bid that up separately and bring that to the committee. Do you guys have any questions?
I think you might have answered it already, but if there was a need to use that money set aside, would it have to come back to the board?
It would not. We're asking you guys to give them the flexibility to approve it now, in case there are discoverable things that come up during the paving and the construction. They'll only use it if needed. It's just there as a supplemental work allowance, and we do that. Typically, we do that on all of our construction type projects because there is stuff that does come up. Next time, really what should happen is we just add it to the bid form automatically is what the bid total would be. So if that, can you go to the bid workbook, Lynn? The
That's
work.
okay.
Okay.
It's clear to me.
Okay. They'll only use it again if they need it. So
But they could have put it into the regular bid.
it was in the
Brought it out
bid.
separate.
It was
Yeah,
in, and
well,
I don't know if it was on the workbook. I'd have to go back and look, but
but it
that's where I'd
wasn't a
like to
separate
see
thing.
it. Just as a separate line item, so it's clear on the award.
Hey, Alan, it's Matt. Hey, we don't want the contractors to expect to use the SWA, but we need a mechanism to be able to handle change orders as they come up for unforeseen when we start demo, also mobilizing, remobilizing around the workforce of that yard at Southside Service Center.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Any other questions? All right,
Stephen Datz, motion to approve.
Wayne Young, second.
great. I'll roll call through the committee, starting with Stephen Datz,
Approved.
Wayne Young,
Approved.
Alan McElroy,
Approved.
Steve Tootin,
Approved.
Joe Orfano.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 7 is a contract amendment. This is for our CMAR services for Bartram and US 1 and Cecil Field water main projects. You guys have seen this come through a few times. So the Garney Company, Inc. is our recommended awardee, and the amount of this contract amendment is $3,967,259. We're expected this to be completed, this part of the project, March of 2022. And so I'll give you a little bit of history. Originally approved by the awards committee in July of 19. And it was just that pre-construction amount, which is typically 5% or lower of what our total budget looks like, for them to do some pre-work. Then it comes back to the committee for the GMP for the Bartram US 1 portion of the work. And so there's 2 different locations they're working on here and what we grouped together for this project. We also did an increase for the ductile iron pipe for the Cecil Field portion. And we did that early outside the GMP for Cecil to avoid price increases that were happening in the market. So this specific request is for the design of the Cecil Field water main that is 90% complete, and so we've negotiated the GMP for the construction work for Cecil Field, and so that's about that $3.94 million is going to be for the actual construction. That's what we negotiated with them. And there's some more dialogue here about saving the $135,000 on doing the ductile iron pipe purchase early. All of this is still under our budget and what we had expected to spend. And we look at all of that, with the partner as we're, kind of show them what we're expecting, making sure we're doing some analysis, making sure that they're seeing what we're seeing kind of in that pre-construction phase. So we're all aligned, and we're still seeing some savings by negotiating this and combining these projects. You guys have any questions?
Alan McElroy moved to approve.
Steve Tootin, second.
All right, Alan approved, or motion to approve, and Steve Tootin second. I'll roll call through the committee, starting with Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Wayne Young.
Approved.
Stephen Datz.
Approved.
And Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 8 is a joint project through a Nassau County MOU. This is for the engineering services of William Burgess Boulevard and 16-inch water main extension. So we've attached the memorandum of understanding with Nassau County. We're asking the awards committee to approve this pre-signature. Nassau County is also taking it to their board for pre-approval, and then we will sign the MOU after. But this is, so we'll pay Nassau County directly in the amount of $133,345. So this is to support the engineering, surveying, permitting, and subsurface utility engineer costs of the project. Nassau County followed the Consultants Competitive Negotiation Act, which is our CCNA statute, when selecting their engineer consultant. So they followed the appropriate guidelines. Per the terms of the MOU, JEA scope will be included in 2 different separate solicitations to come. One will be for the construction engineering inspection, so the CEI services, and then again when they bid it out for the construction of the project. So likely you will see those 2 come back to the committee once those are completed and the MOU is signed to move forward. Then we'll have 2 other bids that are coming through. Dan or Joe, did I miss anything?
This is Dan Crook, the purchasing agent. No, you didn't. I'll just say that the Nassau Board of Commissioners approved the MOU yesterday morning. So all we have to do is execute it, and we should be good to go.
Okay, great. So we can execute after you all approve, if you approve.
Wayne Young, motion for approval.
Stephen Datt, second.
Great. I'll roll call through the committee, starting with Wayne Young to approve award number 8.
Approved.
Stephen Datt.
Approved.
Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Steve Tootin.
Approved.
And Joe Arpano.
Approved.
Award number 9, this is an invitation to bid, so low bid, and this is for Circuit 915 partial rebuild. So this is for construction services, and it's structures number 44B through 51. So this is transmission construction, which will include the setting of 3 new spun concrete transmission poles, 5 new steel transmission poles, and 5 new vibratory steel casing foundations. Hinkles and McCoys are low bid in the amount of $1,540,457.58, and we are expected to have this project completed in March of 2021. We received 4 bids on this, so good competition. And then there's just a note, the low bid came in slightly higher than what our estimate was. And there's some write-up as to why. So the low bid for the constructor cost came in about $200,000 more. The 100% design estimate included 5.5% SWA. And up to $302,000 in estimated matting costs. During the procurement process, SWA was increased to 10%, and there was an addendum that changed matting to the allowance of about $500,000. So that's where you see the increase in that 200 from what we originally estimated. And looking at the competitiveness between the 4 bidders, we feel that this is reasonable. And when we get feedback too during the bid process, we'll look at the suggestions and things that come up to determine if the SWA needs to be increased, or if things need to be increased based off of market or the time when we're putting it out to bid. Rodney or Lisa, did I miss anything?
No, I think that's good. Just keep in mind, for the folks, for the committee, the allowance and the matting, those are going to be, the matting's a pass-through cost. So, and it's going to be based on actual needs. So they're going to go through and try to mitigate as much of that as possible.
Thank you. So again, they're just allowances. Doesn't mean they'll spend that full amount. All right, I'll ask
Sure, Bob. Question, Jen. So they subcontract out that manning cost? Is that what Rodney said? Or, I mean, it's
Rodney,
included
do they
in the.
subcontract out? I don't know if they self-perform that or self-contract that out. We've given them an allowance though of that
Okay.
500,000.
Yeah, we do have Sunbelt is our matting services contractor. And so they actually perform the work for us.
But the prime manager.
And that's part of this cost?
Yeah, that's right. Sunbelt's cost.
Okay.
I think he asked if this was part of the cost.
Yes. So those allowances are included in the award total. Whatever we don't spend goes back to their capital budget. It won't stay tied up here if we don't use it with this project. And we should know by March of 2021, by the end of this project, if there's leftovers. I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 9.
Alan McElroy, Wayne Young, second.
Thank you. Roll call through the committee, starting with Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Wayne Young.
Approved.
Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Stephen Datz.
Approved.
And Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 10 is a standard. This is Brandy Branch battery USP replacement for B50, B51, B52, and B53. Let's see. Each UPS system consists of battery banks, inverters, chargers, bypass switches, and transformers. JEA's engineering has reviewed multiple product lines from companies over the years. Let's see. Amtech has won competitive bids in the past to supply the UPS systems. And this request is to approve the purchasing replacement of the units that listed 50, 51, 52, 53. Solid State Controls LLC, doing business as Amtech Solid State Controls, is the awardee in the amount of $313,252. We have an estimated project completion of September 30th of 2021. And I'm going to let Rodney or the business give some history on the standard and how we got here.
Yeah, I think Blake and David Baldwin are on the line. They could probably speak more to the standard side of things.
That'd be great.
Hello, this is Blake Bobbitt. The standard originated at Northside Generating Station for the replacement of the BIEB UPS systems. The idea for the standard was primarily to enable the operators and the electricians to only have to work on one type of UPS system. The main reason why we only wanted them to have one system to understand how to operate was because the system is only used in the event of an emergency when we have a blackout. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
And so that reasoning kind of went over to Brandy Branch when we had multiple inverter failures. We decided to develop a project to replace those inverters and battery chargers. And there's already an Amatech system there on ST4. So we didn't want to replace 51 through 53 with another type of UPS system.
So this has been decided to be a standard across the board moving forward. So any replacements will be using this product.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Blake. You guys have any questions?
Wayne Young, I do have a question. With respect, and I understand all the components and aspects that are used to determine to continue with this particular vendor and product. Do we have ways of determining if this is the best product with respect to advancement in technology and that's being provided and upgrades and services and systems, so that we can take a look and see maybe at some point if it is more prudent for us to look at a different type vendor or different system due to advancements in technology?
I'm not sure if I completely heard your question. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, with respect to the advantages in continuing with this particular system, I do understand it as far as consistency in operations, training, et cetera. But as working with the UPS, are we keeping track of any new advances in technology that makes the system operate better, or make training easier that might be provided by other vendors through their uninterrupted power sources that they provide. So in other words, are we keeping track with the industry itself to make sure that by staying with one vendor so that we can gain advantages for our training and operations, that we aren't overlooking the opportunity to bring on something that may be more advanced or better for us, if that makes it clear.
Yes, sir. I believe we are. There's three main types of inverters, which are the ferroresonant, the PWM, and then a cascaded configuration of either or. And to the best of my knowledge, this is the most advanced type of system.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, and this is Rodney here. Just one other point to add to this, that these systems are, decade or two life cycles. So once they make the installation decision, they'll be with this system for, other than maybe changing out batteries that support the system as well, they'll be with these systems for quite some period of time. And Amatec has been around for decades doing the same type of work. And they also allow the users and operators more functionality in the controls, where some of the other providers, they tend to lock down their controls. And that results in a service contract or site support type contract that we'll be able to do more on our own with Amatec.
Okay, thanks a lot.
So it sounds like they're the leader in the industry right now, Rodney, and have been for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Jenny, I had a question. Is this the only supplier of this particular equipment?
Rodney, it looks like they are. I mean, it's their brand.
We're purchasing direct from the manufacturer. Are you asking if we could go through a distributor or another company and pay markup?
Yes, that's what I'm asking. Mm-hmm.
I don't think that would be in the best interest of JEA. You're going to have that markup attached to it because they're going to have that cost as a distributor. So when we see it as a best interest of JEA to go straight to the manufacturer to pay less and the warranties, et cetera, it makes more sense to do that.
So I think that is my question. So if there are other ways to purchase this, then you really have a two-step award here. You have number one, determining this as a standard, and then making a determination that using the manufacturer and not going through a distributor is in the best interest or the only justifiable source for this purchase. But I assume that you've explored that, and not just because there are cases where you can, sometimes distributors are willing to, for different reasons that exist. I don't know if that's the case in this instance or not, and that's why I asked the question. I haven't really heard an answer to the question as to whether there are distributors of this, or was this the only source. So what I'm saying is this might be a standard and a sole source. So we would need to determine that this was the only justifiable source for the award.
You're correct. I don't know the answer to that, but I'll know here in just a couple of minutes.
Yes, we have purchased Amatec equipment through distributors in the past. That would actually also install the equipment.
So was there a reason that this wasn't, did you look at doing that this time?
We discovered that using a distributor, which is usually a UPS contractor, that they are actually unprepared or unqualified to do the types of electrical work that are involved. So this time, or going forward, we wanted to bid it out to electrical contractors if we could, to make them the prime.
So installation is separate from this award.
Correct, but I guess I'm trying to get at which procurement tool you're using to decide to go just with this one.
I mean, we're using the
Original
standard.
manufacturer. You could have bought it through other sources.
So we're using the standard as the source. I mean, when you talk about a two-phase or two-step, it sounds like you're asking us to use two different sources within our procurement code. We've chosen standard here.
No,
I'm not sure why we would have to do a sole source also.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before. If there are multiple, you can establish that something is a standard, but if there are multiple sources of supply and you pick one of those sources of supply, then you're using a different procurement tool at that point, because you could have bought it from multiple people. So I think it's what it probably needs to be characterized as is a sole source purchase of something that you've established as a standard, because it's the only justifiable source.
What are y'all's thoughts?
If the manufacturer doesn't allow for competition through OEM channels, through distributors, channel partners, etc., they could give us a letter of certification stating that they are going to be the lowest price and that there would be a markup if we went with any other competitor. And at that point, it just becomes an exercise of getting multiple quotes if you go outside of that, knowing that anything else that comes other than directly from the manufacturer is going to be more expensive.
Right.
So I think Joy's point is just tag it as a sole source, because that's legitimately the only reasonable path to get that equipment at the lowest cost.
Using the standard.
Because it
built its own standard, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
So your suggestion is to make this a standard / sole source?
Correct. I think there's two steps. One has been established as a standard. So, you're not looking at any other equipment, because there are other products out there, it sounds like, that would do the, similar type of things. But you've determined many years ago that this was a standard, and you still believe that you want to keep it a standard. But then since there are multiple suppliers of the pieces of equipment, you've got to have a procurement tool to get you to buying it from this one source. So you're making two different procurement decisions here. One, you're deciding to buy only this particular manufacturer's products, and then two, you're deciding to buy it from the manufacturer and not from any of the distributors.
So I think what gets presented to awards is just the sole source. It is a standard, but we're procuring it.
I understand.
No, I think.
I understand the point, but we have a method called standard in our procurement code that allows us to present it to you guys as a standard and not a sole source.
Right. Jenny, through the chair, I that's coming to the awards, in my view, it's coming to the awards committee on both points. First, the fact that, there's sufficient backup that the standards committee has undertaken. And I think Wayne's question was a good one. Does it still make sense when they established it as standard so many years ago? Is that still, what have they done to make that still a standard? So that's one thing that the awards committee would be interested in and have to approve. And then the second step is, why buy it from this one source? And so there are two steps that are being approved here. So I think it's both the standard and the sole source. There are some standards that can only be bought through the original manufacturer, some products, I'm saying. And those, that would be the OEM. So I think there are two different things here. One, you've decided to go with this particular type of equipment, and two, you've decided to purchase it from this particular source.
So Julie, could you just, for the purpose of communicating both standard and sole source, could you just address the standard in the body of the award language of why you're selecting this product?
Um,
And if
yes,
if
I
can
think,
just-
in that case, I guess the committee is acknowledging that the standard is appropriate. But I do think that there are, it's appropriate for the committee to consider the backup for the classification as a standard, because that is one tool. You're using two, in my view. And so I think that, it's just a matter of amending the award to say it's a sole source and a standard.
Now this is Wayne Young, and the nature of my question was focused on the standard, in that as long as our standard is being updated and assessed periodically to determine that we are, or to ensure that we are making best use of our purchasing and to bring on what is the most up-to-date and accurate technology. And if the technology that's being presented by this particular vendor is keeping pace with what we would determine our reassessed standards are, then I can see continuing with this vendor for the purposes that Rodney stated, and is stated in the contract as well, with respect to training and legacy equipment that's in place that is probably being assessed and updated as well. So that was the purpose of my question, and I can see where it would roll into standards and sole source, which I'm still listening to the discussion on that to determine if it should fall into both or be handled separately, if that helps.
Correct, yes. And so I think your questions are good ones about the committee's approval. That I think the awards committee is charged with making sure that, overseeing the standards committees and what they're doing. And it comes as a standard, a standards award. And you say, yes, the process is there, the backup is there. We've seen the minutes. We're comfortable that, you've asked the business the question. You can rely on that, on the business to say, yes, we've looked at, we've continued to consider whether it's appropriate to keep this as a standard. You've heard justification for both the business and for the buyer. So I think it's a reasonable determination that this be a standard. And then you've also heard a reasonable explanation from the business and the buyer as to their justification for buying it from the manufacturer as opposed to through the distributor. So I think that's step two. So this is both a standard and a determination as a sole source that you're going to buy it from the manufacturer.
Do you guys agree to
Hey, this is, excuse me. Hey, this is Rodney Leffert here. I think I understand what you're saying, Julie, as far as a non-competed standard is a sole source. That's what I think I heard. So for this particular award, if we were to add a sole source attachment to it or a second award as a sole source, then that would fulfill the needs to cover the procurement approaches that we should have for it. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think you could do it all in the same award. They're just two steps and you need two different backups. That's all. But it sounds like you get that.
So could we add a sole source statement, pen the title changed from standard to standard/sole source, and add a sole source statement as a backup to this award? And the only reason why I'm kind of pushing, wanting to get this done here, is that at this point we are at a critical path for lead time to an upcoming outage, and we've gone back and forth with the supplier on the terms for a couple of weeks, and we really need to get this procurement in process.
Correct. Understood. And what you explained was exactly what I'm suggesting.
So, Julie, just one follow-up question to that, and I'm going to tie back to the previous comment that I made as far as referencing the standard in the body of the award language. Part of the evidence that's presented with this award is the document, the standards document, the certification of standard with an explanation and a authorized signature as well. So to me, I think you're representing the standard and why you're selecting this product as part of the award without actually changing the category of the type of award request. So what I'm suggesting is instead of the type of award request being a standard, just revise it to sole source and include the document with the explanation of the standard as part of that information that we're reviewing.
Yeah, I guess there's also.
We can,
yeah, go ahead, Jenny.
I think we can do that. Like we'll call it a sole source,
right.
And in parentheses we can put standard, and that makes it a little bit more clear. We can talk about how we got to the standard, but the sole source makes it more clear on what we present to the board versus a sole source and a standard, which is very confusing when the P code allows you to have both procedures. So it needs to be one or the other. I don't like the and. I think if it's sole source, it's sole source, and we can talk about how we got to it and justify it through the standards committee.
Yeah, I think that form takes care of it right there.
Yeah, you have all the supporting documentation.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what we'll do is we'll change the award type to sole source. We'll add a sole source justification form to this. You guys have heard it.
Yeah.
We'll just put that in as backup, and when we submit that to the CEO for approval, it'll be included in the packet. Okay. All right. So
Jenny, you'll still have you'll still have the standard form and backup, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And you'll put that in the write-up that it's been established as a standard. And then
it's already in there as a standard.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It is.
Okay.
So Rodney and Lisa will add language about the sole source being the one justifiable source, attach the backup, and change the award type.
I will.
Thank you, Rodney. Can I get a motion to approve award number 10 with the amendments that we discussed?
Alan McRoy, to approve Wayne Young signs of it.
Thank you. And Wayne second. I'll roll call through the committee. Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Wayne Young.
Approved.
Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Steve Tootin.
Approved.
And Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Thank you. All right, award number 11 is a change order. This is for our CAMS, which stands for Capital Asset Management Software, our unifier purchase, implementation, and training. This is a change order to the awardee, who is Oracle, in the amount of $189,510. This was originally bid, competitively bid and approved by the awards committee in September of 19, in the amount of about $950,000. A change order request came in November of 2019 for additional funds related to one-time implementation and integration of Oracle Unifier Capital Portfolio. And then this is going to be the third request and change order, and it's for additional funds, which covers staffing changes for information security compliance to minimize JEA's risk of compromised information security by requiring that all staff be provided from within the U.S. versus the current staffing, which is offshore. So we are making the change in the staff that is helping us from Oracle to be required to be in the U.S. When we put this out for bid, we did ask for pricing for onshore and offshore rates, and so they are utilizing the onshore rates, which were competitively bid and approved. We are also requesting to add 7 integration interfaces because additional business requirements have been discovered since the original award. So as they've gone through the implementation, there are more requirements that they were not aware of when we put this out to bid. And the addition of Oracle Managed Service Agreement, which is MSA, in support of the Project Integration Framework that allows JEA internal resources to better learn the technology. And the PIF skill set is currently not available to JEA. And so JEA needs these managed services to help support the rest of this implementation. So there's a note here, and you can see the table as to how we got to the award total. But as a note, the cost of these three additions are offset by a combined credit of $65,000 for travel that has not been used since we've been using the WebEx technology and other platforms. Do you guys have any questions or comments on award number 11?
Steve, that's motion to approve.
Steve to approve, second.
Thank you, Steve. I will do a roll call through the committee. Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Wayne Young.
Approved.
And Joe Arpano.
Approved.
All right, award number 12. This is a proprietary, also to Oracle America, Inc. This is for our Oracle Technical Maintenance Support Services for Oracle's e-business suite, middleware, and all Oracle database software. Oracle's customer care and billing, which we refer to as CC&B, is our utility billing software, which is used as a primary application throughout the company to record meter consumption, calculate usage, produce bills, receive payments, maintain customer relationship information. Has been migrated to Oracle's customer to meter, which is our C2M system, and awarded separately. So the Oracle's EBS software is used for the Oracle apps and the back office processing, including our HR and recruiting, payroll, benefits, procurement, database software, learning management tools, financials, project billing, and cloud management. So this is our ERP system, and this is the maintenance and support of all the services. The award amount is $2,895,506.84. We have been using Oracle EBS licenses since the mid-1990s and Oracle CC&B since 2007. These are proprietary to Oracle. And you can see below, we were able to remove 5 unused items from the FY20, which payment, which resulted in about a $206,000 savings to JEA. So we constantly look at where we can streamline, where we're not using licenses, pull them back, and negotiate. Nathan, is there anything else you want to add or anything else I forgot?
Morning, everyone. This is Nathan. Excuse me. No, I think you covered everything, Jenny. We did have the 5-item reduction, like you said, to get the annual savings. We still have some other opportunities in that area to remove more items. Oracle's a little tricky as far as removing unused support items. They group items into CSI and ordering document numbers. So you have to look at things strategically as far as how you remove them based on how they were originally purchased. So there are some other opportunities that we're looking at to follow up in fiscal 21 to further reduce the cost. So the 2.8 million number is what we expect to pay if we don't reduce any more. But there are, like I said, other opportunities where we could actually decrease that amount in fiscal 21.
Great. So we do these annually, like Nathan said. JEA assesses the current contract through a feasibility analysis to determine the best path forward. So it gives us flexibility a year at a time to see what's changing, see if there's other opportunities out there instead of going straight with the proprietary or what options we've got. So we constantly look at those. All right, can I get a motion to approve award number 12?
Steve Tootin, motion.
Joe Urbano, so moved.
Okay, we've got Steve with a motion and Joe with a second.
I'll
roll
second,
call
yeah.
I'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 12, starting with Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Joe Arfano,
Approved.
Wayne Young,
Approved.
Stephen Datz,
Approved.
Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 14 is an emergency. This is for COVID-19 return to work testing. So all of the testing that goes into getting those 2 negatives to return back to work is a part of this award. So originally in April of 2020, we put in a purchase order. It's when we started to see the return to work. We put in a purchase order for $10,000 up to our limit, that we can do with one quote within procurement as a stopgap while we bid this out. Just some history, Blue Cross was paying for things when we were all required to stay home. But as soon as return to work came back, they pushed that to the owner's expense. And so we needed to bid out those services. So this was something we did with just a stopgap as we bid it, thinking that, of course, we didn't think that we'd have the volume of testing and all of that to pay for. So that $10,000 was quickly used up during the bidding process. And so we also had to rescind the bid and rebid with new requirements from, I think it was like the health department and some other areas that were giving us some information and things were changing. So we also had a delay in the invoices, and so we weren't sure how much it was costing. They were sending invoices to JEA, and no one was here to get those invoices for a while, and so we have now collected every invoice that's outstanding, and this is included in the award amount. We're actually asking for ratification of the total amount, including that $10,000. Since we went over it, we're just making this an emergency award for everything that we spent. We did bid this out, and it is going to Mayo. They did win it competitively. So going forward, we have a new contract with them at an informal level up to $300,000 until we can get a better understanding of what's going on and how much we're going to have to continue to use this. So this covered a 7-month period, and the ratification is for the whole $96,000 and some change. But the emergency award itself, because outside of that $10,000 that we already had in place, is to increase to $86,000. What we're going to do though is we're going to keep that $10,000 as we had it. We'll create a new PO, just kind of behind the scenes. Treat it as the emergency, and
Excuse me, Jenny.
then going forward, we're going to bill everything else to the new contract.
Excuse me, Jenny. Somebody's typing in the background. Can they please mute their phone?
We're working on
Thank you.
Nathan, can you just mute your mic?
Thank you. All right, so I think if there's anything to add, I think I've summarized kind of the history and when we started with Blue Cross shifting to return to work and the history of needing these services from a COVID-related emergency perspective until we could get it bid out, which is consistent with what we would do for something like this. When we need it quickly, we would do it and then bid it out as we have time.
The end date should be November 1st though, right?
Actually, it should be October. Well, the end date, I think, is based off of billing. So they billed us through November 2nd.
What was everything prior to November 2nd?
Right.
So up through.
Chrissy, what's the last date of the one of the invoices? Is that what we're making the end date for?
My understanding is that it was through November 2nd.
Through.
Yeah.
7 months in a day.
I thought it was all tests performed prior to November 2nd.
Well, November 2nd is when we put the PO in and awarded the solicitation. But the invoice, I can go back and check the dates on the invoices, but my understanding is that it was through November 2nd, but we'll have to go back and verify that and we'll change it accordingly.
Looks like on page 154, they bill the first of the month, yeah, November 1st, October 1st.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So really, maybe services through October, if they're billing in November for October. We'll look
I
at
think
it.
it actually stated balance due represents all tests performed prior to November 2nd.
Okay.
All tests.
Yeah.
Covers the whole thing.
And we've got the new PO for C for November 2nd, so I think we're fine to change that to November 1st.
Okay. Will do.
Thank you. All right, can I get a motion to approve award number 14?
Alan McRoy, so moved.
Thanks,
Wayne,
Wayne.
second.
Thanks, Wayne. I'll roll call through the committee, starting with Alan McElroy,
Approved.
Wayne Young,
Approved.
Stephen Datz,
Approved.
Steve Tootin,
Approved.
and Joe Arfano.
Approved.
I almost threw you in there early, Joe, but I didn't want to throw you off. All right, our last award is award number 15. This is a sole source. This is for our non-JEA electric utilities. So we've got facilities that are located outside of our service territory, and they're the only source that we can pay for utilities. And so when we look at all the different areas that we have that our different plants and facilities are in, there's a table on the second page of the award that lists all of those out. What we're bringing to the awards committee is anything that's over 10,000 that isn't allowed through the P code currently. And I say that because we're in the middle of looking at updates to the P code where we're going to address how we do this going forward, because it's something we're going to have annually. Obviously, we don't plan to move our facilities, and so there should be a better way than bringing this to the committee every year. So we're looking at that with our consultant, but for now, we're doing this as a sole source, and the ones that are above 10,000 are Beaches Energy Services in the amount of $235,000. We've got, and these are estimates based off of previous bills. Which is what we're asking you guys to award. Clay Electric is about $16,000. Florida Power and Light is $672,546, and St. John's County Utility Department is $355,000. This will cover this year through the end of the fiscal year of September 30th of 2021. You guys have any questions, comments on this one? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve the sole source award number 15.
Joe Arfano, approved.
Thanks, Joe. Steve has the second on this one. I'll do a roll call through the committee, starting with Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Thank you. Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Steve Tootin. And Wayne Young.
Approved.
All right, the last thing we just want to share, and actually I'm going to turn it over to Nathan in the business. We just have a informational item that is an informal, so you guys wouldn't see this come to the awards committee, but we're using it as an opportunity to show a success that was made here. So I'm going to turn it over to Nathan in the business to discuss.
Jenny, this is Nathan. Actually, the informational item didn't get put on the agenda, I was told. The full attachment informational item. So I think we're going to have to wait on that. And actually, Steve and Gary have dropped off because it wasn't on the agenda. So
okay,
we'll have to table it to the next committee.
All right, sorry about that. All right, well, we will talk about it in the December meeting. So we've gotten through all of the items. and they've been approved individually by the awards committee. So all of the agenda items have been approved, and the agenda's been approved for November 19. It's the 19th, right?
Yes.
2020. Woo, that was a large agenda. So is there any other business to come before the awards committee?
This is Stephen Datz. I would say, given the amount of discussion that was related to Award 10 before Award 2 comes back, we would apply the same principles, methods to that as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or we certainly could go to the distributors and then bring it back.
Yeah.
So we deferred it to see if there is another opportunity there.
Okay.
All right. The only thing I'll just mention is that this is our last awards meeting for November, so we'll be the first week in December due to the holiday next week. So I hope everybody has a safe and enjoyable holiday. If you're going to visit with family, please be careful. Enjoy yourselves. Take some much needed time and rest on our days off. And I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Bye-bye. See your hand, Wayne.